3 things you want to learn here today so we can focus on the right things and have a discussion.
How to introduce asset management to a new team, a young team.
Okay, so culture.
Correct.
Before we move on, so it seems like, based on what you're saying, if I'm reading you correctly and hearing you, you fought this out. Mm-hmm. What are your roadblocks? Like, what are the challenges?
Getting buy-in from the team. I've been around older maintenance techs, and now I'm over a group of younger operators on robots. The younger group have no idea as far as the overall aspect of asset management.
So when you say asset management in your world, mm-hmm. right, is it more proactive or is it very reactive? Is it like firefighter mode?
Firefight mode.
And I'm sure
trying to get to the proactive approach.
So Honda. Okay. Familiar with Honda. I actually worked for a group. I can't remember the plan. It was in Alabama. I had the pleasure of sitting in on one of their RCM classes. Mm-hmm. So I understand Honda takes a great deal of pride in investing in their programs and education, right? So I'm sorry I'm picking on this gentleman. We're just having a nice discussion. So in terms of culture, are you thinking more upskilling your staff, supplementing staff because people really don't exist anymore, right? I mean, you put up a job ad, your recruiting team. Who applies? No one, right? Right. So how do we move the needle? Is it through hardware? Is it through services? Is it through training? A lot to talk about, right? So let's make a goal to walk away with something. Let's say 3 things you're looking to learn today.
So last time I came to IMC 2019, I had a senior reliability guy said that your biggest thing that's against reliability is culture. And sure enough, he's right. So anything culture change, a catalyst to culture change, I'm all ears.
It is culture, right? So thank you to iCare for our team joining and listening. It is very cultural, right? So I'll give you a perfect example. So my name's Chris Lloyd. I'm now a director. So I'm not sure how that happened, but thank you. Point being, a lot of what we're doing is cultural, right? So you're looking in a world where you're in need of expertise. When it comes to the human element, humans, where are they? How do you do it? Do you upskill through training, or do you do it through a technology and a hardware? But point being, we have customers who are at the stage where they're so dependent on, let's say, a multi-technology certified PDM analyst, right? So, quick fact, iCare Reliability, we are global. We're currently, to this day, the largest privately held asset management company in the world. So think about that, and think about, someone going up to your machine with a handheld for a year. That person, for some reason, takes another job. Well, what do? The answer isn't waiting 6 months to hire someone, is it? No. So how do you complement it? How do you augment it? That's kind of what we're talking about today. I'm going to pick on someone else, if I may. You, sir. If you had 3 things you want to learn today, what would it be?
How to get managers to actually utilize our resources as they're supposed to. My plant, we're the only plant in Honda North America, the only department that still prints all of our PMs out every month.
It's interesting. It's kind of crazy that most the guys are from Honda, right? And I think a Honda is a large, mature organization. However, is that really the case?
Well, that's the way they've always done it.
So how do you move the needle?
Exactly. I print out 800 to 1,200 PMs every month.
I could go through a
Maximum
slide
slow.
deck. I could go through this slide deck. However, I'd rather have these conversations. Is everyone good with that? Okay, so now that we've decided we're going to have a conversation, let's move to the actual slide deck here. Okay, so Chris Lloyd, I've been in some way, shape, or form in the industry of staff augmentation. I started my career in recruiting. Nurse staffing, right? Think about it. Now, asset management. I think, give or take, with 2 different firms, I've been in the asset management space 8 years. Talked to hundreds of corporations. Trained by thought leaders. I use that term lightly, by the way, because the people that think they know it all may perhaps not do the right things to get there, right? Or like you said, it's like a roadblock. You've already thought out your challenges. I care. So services, hardware, technology, right? We're moving the needle. One question for the group. How many are maintenance leaders here responsible for hiring people? Okay. If you looked at it from a baseline, how many open positions are you responsible for hiring for? Give or take. Say a handful. What's the hiring timeline? Like, is it immediate? Do you have applicants? Are you trying to leverage your network?
I would say it's average hiring time's about a month turnaround. Position identified to position filled.
So what positions?
Water treatment technicians.
So crafts. Craft skills.
Yeah. Plumbing, pipe fitting, chemical system maintenance.
This is not a question to pinpoint anything, so forgive me. Are you hiring fresh, or are you looking for someone with certain skills that perhaps you're unable to identify because they're just not coming to you? You may not feel comfortable hiring the right person. Are you taking chances?
I would say so.
Most people don't, right? But what I want to understand from the audience is culture. How do you move your group from understanding there's a risk to actually putting your foot in the pond, so to speak, pool, whatever, to take a chance? And this is where I'm going. So if you think about it, there's more jobs than more jobs and more money we can offer anybody, right? But to the point, what is enough? How much is enough? And how do you get there? I don't know if I have the perfect answers. If I can provide anything for you all today, it's maybe some ideas, right? People are retiring. How many of you all have predictive maintenance technicians who can actually understand equipment, machine reliability, vibration? What happens when they leave? How do you do it? You're lost.
I was trying to convince them to upload everything into the CMMS, and knowledge everything, and have the models over there, but apparently they didn't do that, so it will be a big loss.
So I'm Chris's colleague. I work with iCare, booth 313 during the course of the week. I don't think I need a microphone.
It's recorded.
I have a loud enough voice. So, who's surprised by this number? Show of hands. Why do people leave jobs today? Why do reliability engineers leave positions today? Well, yeah, that's always the sub.
I will say this, though.
Foundation reason. They're leaving jobs today because they're working in reactive environments. They signed up to do strategic base asset reliability work on equipment, correct? And they enter a plant, and what happens? They're sitting at a desk. A plant manager walks by and sees somebody working on a spreadsheet when the rest of the staff is out there dealing with a shutdown, emergency.
Yep.
You think that sits well in today's environment? No.
Think about it. A reliability engineer, or what have you, let's take the titles away. Companies pay them six figures, yet they are doing these projects, which in the grand scheme of things, what can we quantify that they're actually doing, right? Firefighting. So it's cultural. It all goes back to culture.
Go to the next slide, please.
Yes. Thank you.
So this is the current state of what we see. So I've been doing this for 20 years. I've been in and out of thousands of facilities across the country, all manufacturing facilities, a lot on the Fortune 5 side. It's a skills crisis today. There's nobody applying to the positions. And it's kind of a weird situation that's occurring because now all of a sudden asset reliability today is an executive strategy.
Right.
It's a management strategy, right? So it's kind of getting pushed, right? The fundamentals, we need to do that. We need to increase uptime. We need to increase OEE, right? But now it's like a perfect storm. So finally, it's supported, right? From a senior management executive standpoint, and there's nobody going into the roles.
Right.
To have the foundational elements there, proper work management, proper real RCM, having a true condition monitoring program. Why does a good PDM program fail today? Because people don't pay attention.
Right.
They don't act. They get a report. They check a box. They move on. And today, with companies trying to keep up with demanding production goals, executive top-down support and push on the organization for increased uptime, but they're going without.
Yep.
They go without people.
I want to make a point. So to what Joel's saying, right, if you think about it big picture and you go back to human capital, there's a strategy. At the same time, it takes work, right? It takes investment, not only from dollars, but an actual thought process. So taking that time to do it is a lot of work, and it's transformational culturally. So it's like a conundrum. We want to invest in it, but we don't want to take the time and effort. So it kind of goes left unnoticed, right? It never gets paid attention to.
Quick show of hands. Who here thinks that AI is an over-term buzzword in today maintenance reliability? And that's because it's trying to be looked at as a solution to a crisis. Okay? We're going without. You're going without planners. You're going without maintenance technicians. You're going without true reliability engineering. Right? So what's the answer? It's more data. We need more information. We need more actionable information. We want it all in a middle software. We want to be able to manage it from corporate. And we want it all we want to see asset health. We want to see everything. We want to make decisions on it. So truly, especially since COVID, there's a sense of emergency almost to go towards something that doesn't really have a true definition yet.
Right.
Does that make sense? So for us as a solutions provider, with a hardware that basically just collects temperature and vibration data, that's giving actionable requirements, right, to put into a work management system that may already be overwhelmed. But if you're going without, and you're going with less, and you don't have enough people to accomplish the work, wouldn't it help if you prioritize and tiered it? So you understand maybe if you're down 2 maintenance technicians and you have 5, they're focused on the right equipment. And that's what this whole movement's about. So you're going to hear a lot about that this week. You're going to hear a lot about AI and machine learning and data and middle management. And what we're trying to do is get companies to understand how to properly use it, because at the end of the day, again, it's just actionable requirements. You have to look at somebody as an extension, as a partnership, because you're going without people. So the business foundation for us, like with what we do as a solutions provider, is partnering. So we're an extension. And we know they're going without. And we know that they have a significant backlog. And we know their emergency work is out of whack versus planned work. I think there might be a slide for the current state of maintenance today. We don't need to do assessments. We don't need to go in. How companies make money doing this today, I'll never understand. We don't need to go in and have any conversations with you around your CMMS hierarchy. Is it properly set up? Do you have a form of criticality done? Have you done a PM review? a formal PM review? The short answer is it's usually not caught up because you're going without people to keep it up to date.
And I have a question about AI. And Joel, I appreciate you bringing that up. So speaking of AI, raise your hand if you have people that you work with, key stakeholders, who think that AI is going to solve all of their issues. We just need AI. Okay, so AI could be great for your organization. However, when you see the AI that some of these things generate, you're still left confused on what to do, right? It could be check for lubrication. It could be change bearing. It could be, oh, there's an issue with this pump. It could be numerous things, right? But it really never ever tells you how to solve your issue. So augmented intelligence is the way the market's going. A little bit of AI for a use case and validation by a human expert that's equipped, certified, trained to give feedback to manufacturing operations on the real failure mode, right? What's actually happening with your machine? How can you
need
do
to talk
this?
to a human. That's the underlining point, okay? So when you're going around this week and you're looking at technology and you're looking at AI and you're looking at immediate work orders and getting dumped into your system, you still need very good analysts, trained humans, category 2, category 3, category 4, to look at the data, to understand your machine trends, to know what other PDM technologies you're putting into place. So it really needs, so what's happening in today's market is that service providers are really becoming an extension, more than ever so before. And I made that comment around knowing current state, right? I mean, companies that go in and do, who's been through an assessment here, like an audit or a reliability assessment, right? They go in, they ask you questions, they look at your backlog, they understand your work management, your planning, your scheduling, right? Your inefficiencies. They're telling you things that you're not doing, you already know you're not doing.
And
right?
oh, by the way, an assessment's going to lead to another $50,000 quote that you're not going to pay for. So let's just
So
be
we're in a
real
very
with ourselves.
ROI-driven market. We're focused to make sure that companies understand that we understand that because of the skills crisis, because of this gap, right, it has to be an extension. It has to today. So if you go to the next slide. So a perfect storm here, as I mentioned earlier. There's no transfer of knowledge. I see it everywhere I go. People working 40, 50 years at a plant, they know the equipment. They know where they need to go. They know the visual inspections they need to do. They know by the way it smells how to fix that piece of equipment. They're leaving.
They're leaving.
They're leaving these jobs and there's nobody coming behind them. And oh, guess what? Companies have been very lax with the proper apprenticeship and skills training and transfer of knowledge over the last 20, 30 years, where people have actually been pushed away from the industry. Now all of a sudden it's trying to welcome back in, right? So there's going to be a time period as AI and artificial intelligence and machine learning is going through this kind of molding transformation over the coming 5 years, 10 years, where you still have to rely on what you've always relied on.
And I hate to do this because I understand it. I've been recruiting all my life since I was in a professional job environment. And guess what? There's thousands of needs out there, hundreds of thousands, right, for maintenance technicians. But the criteria is they need to do this, this, and this. And let's face the truth, they don't exist, right? You got to start somewhere. So the old adage is let's post a job and let's have someone who knows this, this, and this. And the market's going to, as Joel mentioned, a service provider that's an extension of the team. Because if you're waiting 6 months to a year to hire someone, you've already lost, right? I mean, it's just the way it is right now.
So condition monitoring services, as you can imagine, when you're a solutions provider and you're working with plants and you're working with stakeholders that have a hard enough time just keeping up with their email, to block out a certain amount of time, almost every day, every week, because that's what our hardware, it's called Y-Care, come by again, booth 313 during the course of the week. It's a vibration temperature sensor, piezoelectric sensor. It's collecting data, reporting up into the cloud. Our job is to make sure that they understand what the trends are, We're looking at the full machine health. We're giving recommendations on other technologies if it's needed. So they're getting a better idea for high-level strategy they need to implement, okay, over time, right, and without people. So it has to become an extension. It can't just be a report, and it can't just be data, and it can't just be a report sent every month for the sake of us getting stakeholders from a plant on a call to look at that information from our side is actually pretty difficult, but we're really consistent to make sure. It's called the communication loop. Who's heard of the communication loop?
So,
right?
so let's,
Yeah.
any questions? Any questions?
So the connection to culture, then, right? So you're very heavy on the technical abilities. We have you're talking about skills crisis, but I mean, really, your technical ability doesn't matter because culture will eat that for lunch every day of the week. And so, yeah, can you close the loop for me on getting organizational culture on that?
Yeah, so, and again, this goes back to, I think, the previous slide. What we're seeing is more an executive push, okay? Where that didn't exist, when I used to come to these conferences 15, 20 years ago, this was like continuous improvement. This was like a CI project, like the reliability thing. Like, yeah, we want to do that. There weren't even standard reliability engineering jobs at facilities. You fast forward 2 decades, a decade and a half later, now we have to do this. We have to do it. But there's no one staying in the roles. There's no one applying for the roles. So you have to look at what your options are out in the market that are technology related, that is a true solution and an extension of the inefficiencies and the people you're just not going to find.
And I think there's another part of the answer for you, and it might not be the best answer, but to your point, how do you drive culture change? You start small, you have a pilot, have a proof of concept, and then at that point, there's buy-in, and you can gather that. So, a part of our business is we refer to it as staff augmentation. So, more or less, and we can talk about hardware too, right? At the end of the day, when an organization may say to you as a leader, it's too expensive, it costs too much money, well, hey, let's start with 2 machines. No brainer, right? And then you prove out the value. It could be small. It could be very small. You just have to start somewhere, I think. You have to take a step forward.
You should be spending time this week doing. You need to go out, network, talk to your peers, understand what they're doing, how they're addressing it, right? That's a huge piece of it. Most places I go in and out of, I mean, and this is a knock at your facility or what you're doing as professionals, but I usually know within 10 or 15 minutes of asking a few kind of key questions if it's a reactive or proactive plant. Somebody here earlier said you're trying to move out of reactive, right? Try to go to more proactive, right? And proactive is actually sitting down in the morning and knowing you're ahead of your work orders and knowing what needs to get done that day and eliminating a backlog, right? And in today's market, again, they don't even have time to take the 15 minutes out to review the work orders. So when you're spending time this week and you're going through the exhibit hall and you're finding out all the different technologies and AI and offerings out there, look at it from a perspective, how is it going to help me doing what I'm required to do with all this added top-down push and expectations of what real asset management is, right? What vendors out there are a true extension? What suppliers out there that are going to actually really partner and understand your machine health and where you're trying to go and at what time frame and what does your budget look like?
I have a question.
And how much support that you have.
Sorry, Joel, I do have a question for the group here. How many of you are tasked with attending this conference and providing a report or takeaways to, I don't know, perhaps a financial stakeholder, someone who is asking what you walked away with?
I'm not taxed to, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Nice. So I appreciate you speaking and asking the question. So what are your pains? Like, so, is an interactive discussion here.
Do you mean specifically a session or conference overall?
No, your pains. You asked the question, and it was a very bullet-pointed question. How do you say, hey, what's eating our lunch to move the needle?
Yeah, we're talking culture change, right? The best example is not even work, it's volunteer. I was doing heavily involved 5 years volunteering. I don't do that anymore, and it's because of the culture in that particular organization I was supporting.
How many people in here, so you alluded to the culture piece, right? So how many people in here, just quick show of hands, think people leave jobs because of money? Okay, I'm glad that I don't see many, because I can tell you now, after doing this for 2 decades, it's not. They accepted the job for a reason. They accepted the responsibility for a reason. They may use that as the exit interview item to HR so they don't leave, right, with a conflicting type of mannerisms. But it's usually because they signed up for something, and it's really not what they thought they signed up for.
Most people leave the roles because of their direct boss. That's what they find in all the surveys.
Yeah, and how they're supporting the culture, right, and understanding what they're trying, and understanding what their team has to go through on a day-to-day basis. Go ahead.
Thank you for the engagement.
I've been a CRL since 2019. I changed jobs. I work for the city of St. Petersburg. And I was hoping to get them on a reliability journey. And the culture there is so set in their ways of reactive maintenance. The manager has been in place for 30 years. And I'm at this conference to figure out how can I move the needle. What are some concrete steps I can take to begin to change the culture so that we can begin to implement proactive maintenance?
Yeah, sure. And it's a common question I've heard probably a billion times attending these and presenters presenting them. What is reliability, right? I mean, at the end of the day, and I'm probably going to see a lot of nods ahead, it's consistency. It's discipline. It's repetitiveness. It's following up. It's making sure things are done, right? It's crossing T's, dotting I's, rinse and repeat. And when you're dealing with situations of high production, high expectations, and putting out fires, it's kind of hard to make sure you do a proper work management meeting every morning, or update your work orders and make sure it's driving value, or to update your hierarchy and your CMMS to make sure that it's built correctly, right? I mean, those things kind of go to the wayside.
And sir, I am not aware of your culture, but thank you for sharing. Also, I feel like there's an element of bottom line. Like you're looking to move the needle. Well, what if this machine fails? What's your downtime, right? Taking the exacts and combining it with the culture and driving change. And the thing is sometimes it's needed to show someone who maybe don't care as much as you do or is not as passionate about it, let's say, what is happening from a bottom line standpoint? This pump fails, this bearing goes out. What's the time? How long does it take? What are you eating on downtime? So all of it matters. All of it matters.
And investing in your people, right? I mean, so if my time frame in high school, we were pushed away from trades, right? Everybody was pushed away. Now all of a sudden there's like this welcoming, right? Come in, you can graduate, no debt, you can make 6 figures. I mean, there's things changing, but guess what? 25-year-old kids don't want to do it. No, that's just the fact of the matter, right? And it still baffles my mind to this day about what the heck we're going to do. But again, it's a developing solution, right? Where if you don't have people that are going to do the same things you did during the course of your career, put the same time in and stay until all the work's done and even apply to the positions and stay and invest in themselves. If you have those people on your staff that you see that have an impact, then you darn sure better make sure you put your arms around them and invest in them and train them, right? And give them a path. Because that's another thing that we see is that because they're not allowed or they're not recognized, right, from a senior management perspective, that's another reason why we're seeing so much turnover today. I mean, the 100,000 openings for reliability engineers, that doesn't really, there's probably more. That poll was taken a couple years ago. It's probably more today because they're just not going to stay if they're not feeling like they're recognized and be able to grow. And it works on the same on the trade side. If you don't start investing in them and give them added certifications and show them a path, then there's plenty of other jobs. There's plenty of other positions. And what we do as a company, from a service perspective, a solutions perspective, is we're just trying to get them to understand just overall high-level machine health. That's it. Green, yellow, red. Very simple. You know how executives like that? They look at dashboards and they want to see percentages and data. That's kind of how we start, right? So when we're working with a plant, even if it's a maintenance manager that doesn't have a condition monitoring background, we're trying to get their arms around machine health. What's A critical? What's B? What's C? Why? What's the history that we're seeing? What else can you do to keep it running? And get them engaged towards a solution. Because again, otherwise it just becomes a report. And it just becomes squiggly lines on a sheet. And it's sent on an email once a month and you move on.
So think about it this way, and this slide's pretty powerful. It touches on some things that we have touched on indirectly, but to be very specific, you have people in your organization, right, who they may think the best idea in the world is to hire a consultant to come in, and then you're invested in your business, you're invested in your team, and you're looking at this. Is this guy going to tell us what to do or actually do something? Market, changing, doing, not telling. Embedding resources in your team, right? So think about it. You don't want someone coming in, do you? Saying, hey, we need to do all the things you're aware of, as Joel pointed on earlier. We actually need somebody to come in and help us and be tasked with doing something we actually need to get done. Market changing, augmentation. And that can be through a variety of channels, right? People, hardware, time and materials. Just get it done. It may not take one, it may take two, it may take three.
You'll be surprised by the amount of, if you do your homework and you're out there, you're looking at technologies and what's offered in the market today about even companies that don't show the information, they don't show the data. They're just providing, quote unquote actionable recommendations. And again, in today's market, we don't have that luxury. It's out the window. It sounds easy. And I guess maybe some companies want to present it as something that's easy. It's not easy. It's not. And you have to approach it from a perspective, again, of getting them and kind of coaching them at the same time, where we're not going to sit in like the slide before, we're not going to sit in a conference room. We're not going to do best practices slides. We're not going to rewrite their SOPs. We're not going to get them to rewrite metrics, right? We're going to get them really to start understanding, again, just high level machine health. Asset reliability. How do you approach it?
And for those who are asking that question, I appreciate that. This gentleman, I think, asked a question that was very open-ended. 7 takeaways from this presentation that perhaps you may realize or you may need someone else to realize within your organization they need to start paying attention to, right? Any questions so far?
Next slide.
Good discussions. Thank you for participating, by the way. It's welcomed.
So this goes back to the staff augmentation piece. Again, we actually even call the AI piece internally, we call it augmented intelligence, because it's not full-blown immediate data, writing your work orders for you. All of a sudden your machine's not going to fail because you put a sensor on it. We don't live in that reality. We live in the reality, again, understanding, I guess, a quote-unquote scope of work that's really the customer's. So you're looking to go through a formal criticality before you put hardware on machines or added technology on machines. You want to clean up PMs. You want to make sure that your CMMS is built correctly. Again, all the asset management, that's not reliability. That's asset management, foundational elements. If those things aren't happening and you don't have the proper structure, I'm sure you all heard it before, it's really hard to go to a proactive environment, yes, right, and do true reliability engineering, right? And what we're trying to do is when we're partnering and we're understanding their infrastructure, right, from hierarchy to critical equipment, how do they rank it? Is it more tribal knowledge? Is it their PMs? What value does it drive? We're trying to provide recommendations on how to enhance it, how to make it better, to get it done, to update it, so it can drive more value through the technology piece. It has to. Like, we have customers today that we data dump recommendations into their CMMS. It's like our software bolts onto their CMMS and it's pushing in recommendations, right? But if you can't take the recommendation that you have and attach it to a machine because the machine's not there in your hierarchy, then what is the planner going to end up spending the time doing? Looking for the machine. So it's inefficient. And we're trying to coach our customers over time to look at those things and then address them. Because you're not going to be able to do it all in a short period of time. It's a journey. Sure, that's an overused term, but it's a journey. And it takes time to get a certain amount of things done, but you have to also have kind of a vision of what the roadmap needs to look like, where you're trying to go.
Yes.
So from a solutions provider standpoint, again, we don't have the luxury just to say, we'll send you a report. That sounds awesome. It would make my job a lot easier. But that's not the reality. And that's because of, again, the stemming nucleus issue is the crisis, the skills crisis. It's real.
And I think you just have to ask the question. Leaders, thought leaders, manufacturing leaders, what is our goal? What are we looking to accomplish? How do we get there? Right? It could be a combination of things. But you cannot manage what you're not measuring, right? You can't hold someone to a standard, a team, a manufacturing group, technicians, planners, analysts, if you're so fortunate to have one. Most people don't, right? What is a vibe analyst? Does anyone have any internally? I think I asked that question. But they're probably doing 1,000 other things, right?
And who recruits for your maintenance positions at your companies? It's HR, right? Are HR maintenance people? No. And what do they do when they recruit? They look at a job description based on the words that you put down. I had a customer a few years ago that had in their job description, need to have experience with Maximo, because that's the CMMS they were on. Okay, so they went like a year without a maintenance supervisor. And I'm in there working, we're doing condition monitoring work, and I'm like, and they're talking about it, I look at the job description, I go, why do you have Maximo outlined as a item here? Because that means that the people that are applying, it's not going to filter through, and your HR people aren't going to look people that have experience like with SAP or whatever, or different system. You just want somebody that has some experience, right? Long story short, they took the Maximo out, flooded, they filled the job in a month, right? So sometimes you just kind of have to look at how you do things, right, internally. And but if any HR folks here, I'm not knocking you, but it benefits companies when they invest in making sure they understand fundamentals and go through things like even the CRL. I've seen companies come through here from some long-standing IMC or reliability web uptime table elements that have sent their HR people to these conferences, right? So they can start understanding the lingo and the needs and the gaps, right? So they can take that back to recruiting. Because you start looking for the ideal candidate with a job description that's written, good luck.
Yes.
You got to look for a candidate that has the potential, right? And you need the HR people to see what those items are. Usually, obviously, a lot of it comes down to attitude and just showing up. But what those items are versus not sending you anything, right? And those are the type of evaluations and kind of like mini assessments we make. And again, the nucleus of our service, it's condition monitoring, it's recommendations, it's correctional information, it's putting it into making sure that things are done in a certain amount of time to avoid a failure. But during the course of us understanding how they do maintenance, there has to be those discussions. You can't ignore it. So that's a big part of what we do. So you'll see our booth down there this week. You'll see like we have the dashboard up and we have the hardware at the booth and all those type of things. That's a piece of what we do to be successful. What makes us successful is understanding today's market.
I do have a question. How many folks have this in their office? Do you all know what this is? Do you adhere to it, or is it like a reference? And if it's a reference, is there dialogue, or is it just up on a wall?
We do adhere to that. I'm a technical trainer, and the themes of my classes correspond directly to uptime elements.
Understood. So I think, the gentleman's question here, your question, many questions we receive, you have a group of people, you're feeling it day to day. There's an element of bravery, right?
Yeah,
but got to look at it and force change.
There's an element with making it an excuse as well, because you go without. And we see a lot of that. Well, we can't do it. Nobody's applying. We go without. We can't find people. We can't sustain it. The point is, there are things you can do based on avenues that are offered to you out of the, as solutions providers in the space to kind of fill gaps, right? And again, no matter if it's on the reliability side, condition monitoring side, hardware side, sensors, AI, all those type of things, it has to drive value. I live in the world of somebody coming across and looking at a budget sheet and go, what's this cost here, this vibration cost we do? What does that drive? You got to have ROI, right? So on our dashboard in our cloud, we're tracking, right, downtime. We're tracking cost avoidance, so we can show them. So there's an immediate number, right? But it's going to breathe life into other areas of the business that you need to invest. Go ahead.
All right. So back to the questions. Again, thank you. So takeaways. These are additional takeaways that perhaps you may be able to embrace, take to your stakeholders to influence change, culture change, right? So all of this matters. Does it necessarily mean a failed program? Perhaps not. But if these things aren't being addressed, then you have to ask the question, how do we move the needle, right? Did you guys take an iPhone shot or a Droid? I think you guys can get a copy of this. Cat, copy?
Yes.
Nice.
What questions do we have? Thoughts?
That's me. You guys can call me anytime, by the way.
So we hope that your big takeaway from sitting in the session today is that there are companies out there that are solution providers that really understand, that are maintenance people, that understand the pains of going through and working in facilities or manufacturing today and trying to quote unquote make a proactive work environment. And again, we don't have the luxury not to enhance effort and to help you drive that change. That's part of what these companies should be signing up to do. I hope you come by our booth.
Yep, thank
313.
you. All right,
Thank
any
you.
questions, guys? Are you all going to the reception? Ugly sweater party or whatever? Who has a sweater? I have one too. I can't wait to break it out.
See you tonight.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.